The council chamber was vast and cold, filled with beings from many worlds. The ceiling shimmered with colors that no human eye could fully see. The council had gathered to discuss peace and control over trade routes and star systems. Commander Ralos of the Varn Dominion spoke first, his voice sharp and full of pride. He mocked the very idea that humans ever existed, saying that they were only myths told to scare children. Velra, a historian from the Kithan race, sat quietly. She had spent decades studying old records, learning about the humans who once held the galaxy together. She knew the stories were true. She knew humans had built ships that could move faster than light, weapons that could destroy entire fleets, and minds that could outthink any alien strategy. But the council laughed at her, brushing her warnings aside as fantasies. Far from the council, in the frozen outskirts of a neglected system, a beacon long thought dead began to hum again. Its pulse stretched across the stars, unnoticed by most, but reaching places where secrets slept. On a hidden planet buried under layers of ice, a massive ship stirred. Inside, humans lay in cryosleep, their eyes closed for centuries. The ship's AI Arya stirred them slowly. Captain Ryan Cole opened his eyes first, followed by engineer Mia Carter and Dr. Samuel Brooks. The world they had left was gone, replaced by centuries of silence and alien expansion. The AI spoke softly, telling them how much time had passed, how humans were now considered myths, and how their return would change everything. Ryan looked around at his crew, seeing both fear and determination. Mia stretched and touched the cold metal walls of the ship, feeling the weight of centuries in her fingers. Samuel checked vital signs, confirming that their bodies had survived perfectly. They all knew what they had to do. They had to learn what became of the galaxy and decide whether humans would intervene once again. Arya displayed transmissions intercepted from distant systems. Aliens spoke of humans as stories, laughing at the idea that they were real. Ryan clenched his jaw, understanding that the galaxy had forgotten the humans' power and wisdom. He made a quiet promise to himself and his crew. They would return to the stars not as conquerors, but as witnesses of what had become of the galaxy they once helped shape. The humans worked tirelessly to repair the ship. Systems that had been frozen for centuries hummed back to life. Engines that had not burned fuel in hundreds of years roared as they were tested. Supplies were rationed carefully and routines were established. Ryan spent hours in the ship's library, a room filled with ancient digital records and human history. He studied the old battles, the old councils, and the times when humans had led by wisdom and strength. Mia focused on the engineering decks, rewiring circuits and patching damage from the long sleep. Samuel prepared the medical bay, ensuring that all future crews would survive the stresses of a galaxy that no longer remembered them. They worked together, bound by a single goal, to remind the stars that humans were real and that they had a place in the galaxy. Meanwhile, far from the hidden ship, scouts from several alien systems began to notice unusual signals. Small faint blips in the dark void were traced back to the forgotten region. Reports reached the council, and whispers spread among the leaders. Velra watched as her warning suddenly seemed less absurd. She felt a shiver of both fear and hope. If the humans had returned, the balance of power could change overnight. Alien species that had grown bold in humanity's absence would tremble. She could almost hear the stories of old coming back to life, and she wondered if the galaxy was ready to face the humans once again. Back on the ship, Ryan gathered his crew in the command deck. The large viewport showed the swirling colors of distant nebulae. "We have slept through centuries," he said quietly, "but we are awake now. The galaxy has forgotten us, but we must see it with our own eyes. We will move carefully, learn what has changed, and decide our place once more." Mia nodded, understanding the weight of their decision. Samuel added that they must be cautious, as not all species would welcome their return. Arya's calm voice reminded them that unknown dangers might be lurking, but also that the humans' knowledge and technology could give them an advantage. As they left the ice-covered system, the beacon sent one final pulse behind them, a signal that rippled through the outer rim. Some distant species detected it and reported it to their leaders. Confusion spread. Stories of humans were no longer just myths. Something ancient was awakening, something powerful. Ryan and his crew felt the first real excitement in centuries. They were explorers again, but now the stakes were higher. The galaxy was theirs to observe, but every observation carried a risk. Any misstep could lead to war, but proper steps could bring peace. For the first time in hundreds of years, humans were moving through space that had once been theirs. They passed abandoned colonies, derelict outposts, and systems now dominated by alien empires. Every sight reminded them of the stories they had heard as children, stories of brave humans who had led councils, negotiated peace, and built alliances that spanned the stars. Now they were the ones walking those paths again, unsure of what they would find but certain that their presence would be noticed. Ryan looked at his crew and knew they were ready. They had the skills, the knowledge, and the courage that had once made humanity the center of the galaxy. The humans' first contact came unexpectedly. Small alien ships approached cautiously, scanning the human fleet. Ryan held position, letting them see the humans' calm posture. The aliens reported back and rumors began to spread. The myth of humans was alive. In distant council chambers, arguments broke out. Could humans be real? Were the stories true? Velra wrote frantic notes as other historians tried to verify what she had always known. The galaxy had believed humans were gone forever, but now the pulse of their return sent a shiver through every world. Fear and curiosity mixed, and no leader could predict what would happen next. The human crew rested as they traveled deeper into the galaxy. Conversations were quiet, filled with plans, observations, and questions about what had changed. They knew they could not intervene immediately. The galaxy had its own momentum now. They would need allies, knowledge, and patience. Ryan walked alone on the observation deck, staring at the stars. Each light was a world, a culture, and a story they had once been part of. They had left voluntarily, refusing to fight endless wars. Now they returned, not seeking vengeance but seeking understanding. The galaxy had moved on, but humans had returned. That truth alone would make worlds tremble. In the distance, beyond the human fleet, the council continued unaware of the approaching presence. Velra felt a strange hope. If the humans had returned, perhaps the galaxy could remember what it meant to be guided by wisdom, courage, and intelligence. The humans were moving steadily, carefully through a universe that had almost forgotten them. Their journey was just beginning, and the galaxy had no idea what was about to awaken. The pulse of humanity, once thought to be a myth, was real, alive, and ready to observe. The stars watched in silence, waiting for the next move of a race that had been gone too long. The human fleet moved quietly through the outer rim, where stars were sparse and shadows long. Captain Ryan Cole watched the viewscreen, noting every anomaly, every signal that passed through Aria's sensors. Engineer Mia Carter worked tirelessly, ensuring that every engine and every system functioned at peak performance. Dr. Samuel Brooks monitored the crew, making sure their bodies and minds adjusted to the long journey. They had been asleep for centuries, but now they were alive, moving through a galaxy that had almost forgotten them. Aria spoke softly, giving updates and suggestions, guiding the humans safely through unknown space. The silence of the stars was profound, broken only by the hum of human technology. Ryan decided they would first visit a system known as Corinthia, where old human colonies once thrived. The records were fragmentary, but some colonies had survived, hidden from alien expansion. As the fleet approached, they saw signs of life, though altered by time. The cities were overgrown and technology had changed. The humans landed cautiously, not wanting to scare the inhabitants. Ryan, Mia, and Samuel walked among the people, seeing how they had adapted. Many still held stories of humans passed down as legends. Children listened wide-eyed as elders spoke of courage, intelligence, and unity. Ryan felt a deep connection, realizing that even in absence, humanity's influence had endured. While exploring Corinthia, the humans intercepted communications from the wider galaxy. Alien fleets were moving cautiously, detecting their presence and sending reports to distant councils. Rumors of the human return spread quickly, and fear began to ripple through alien societies. Some species thought humans were a threat, while others were curious. The humans realized that their return would cause tension, but they could not ignore the signs. They had to learn what had changed and how to approach a galaxy that no longer remembered them. Aria detected a small fleet approaching Corinthia. Ryan ordered the humans to hold position, allowing the aliens to make the first move. The fleet belonged to a race known as the Drex, known for their military skill and strict discipline. Their commander, Admiral Corrin, spoke through a translator, demanding the humans explain themselves. Ryan replied calmly, saying they came in peace, seeking only to observe and understand. Corin did not lower his weapons, but the fleet did not attack. Ryan realized that caution would guide the first encounters, and patience would be their strongest tool. The humans spent days exploring Corinthia, learning about alien influence and changes to the galaxy. Mia repaired old structures, integrating human technology, where it could help the local population. Samuel assisted medical teams, teaching techniques that had been lost over centuries. Ryan spoke with leaders and historians, understanding the new political landscape. Velra's records had been accurate in many ways, but gaps remained. The humans had to fill those gaps with observation and careful communication. Every action was measured, knowing that misunderstandings could lead to conflict. As they prepared to leave Corinthia, Arya detected a signal from the Galactic Council. Messages were being sent urgently, calling all species to discuss the sudden appearance of humans. Ryan decided it was time to move closer to the center, to see the council for themselves. The fleet traveled cautiously, avoiding main trade routes and heavily monitored areas. Along the way, they encountered abandoned stations, silent worlds, and pockets of life that had grown independent of galactic oversight. Each encounter reminded the humans of the centuries they had missed and the stories they had only heard. One night, while Ryan observed the stars, Arya detected a small derelict ship drifting nearby. The humans boarded it, discovering that it had been abandoned for centuries. Records indicated it was from a minor human colony that had vanished after contact with alien raiders. Ryan felt a pang of sorrow, realizing that humans had suffered even in absence. Mia and Samuel worked to restore the ship's data, learning of battles, escapes, and the courage of those who had tried to preserve human culture. This knowledge strengthened their resolve. Humanity had survived before and would survive again. As the fleet approached the central systems, the first direct contacts with major alien powers occurred. Small patrols arrived, scanning the humans and reporting back. Ryan chose to maintain a non-aggressive stance, sending messages of peace and observation. Some aliens were skeptical, some fearful. Arya tracked these reactions, analyzing patterns and predicting potential conflicts. The humans began to understand that their presence alone was enough to shift the balance of power. Even without action, fear and curiosity rippled across the galaxy. Velra watched the developments from her station near the council. She had believed the myths for decades, but now she could see that humans were real and moving deliberately. She wrote frantic notes and consulted ancient records, trying to predict the humans' next move. Her colleagues were divided. Some wanted to prepare for conflict, while others saw an opportunity for dialogue. Velra understood that the humans' motives were unknown, but she sensed wisdom and caution in their actions. They were not conquerors but observers, and their return could mean a new era. Meanwhile, Ryan held meetings with his crew, discussing strategy and philosophy. They decided that observation must precede any interference. They would learn the new alliances, the strengths of alien powers, and the history that had unfolded while humans slept. Each step was taken carefully. The humans knew that a single mistake could ignite a war, but patience and knowledge were their greatest tools. They moved steadily through space, making contact when necessary and withdrawing when prudent. The human fleet reached a sector near the Council's location. Sensors detected massive fleets and patrols, all alert to the sudden appearance of humans. Ryan decided to wait at the edge, observing and learning. The Council had not yet realized the humans were nearby, but reports were beginning to accumulate. Some alien leaders debated what action to take, some calling for diplomacy, others for preemptive strikes. Ryan and his crew understood that the moment of direct contact would be delicate. They prepared plans, rehearsed communications, and waited for the right opportunity. During this time, the humans encountered small communities that remembered human legends. Children drew pictures of ships in the sky, and elders recounted stories of courage, intelligence, and unity. Ryan, Mia, and Samuel shared knowledge carefully, ensuring that these pockets of humanity's influence could endure. They repaired structures, provided guidance, and reminded these communities of their shared heritage. Each action strengthened the humans' understanding of their place in the galaxy, and the galaxy's understanding that humans were real. Finally, the fleet approached a strategic location near the Council. The humans paused, sensors scanning, Arya analyzing communications, and Ryan considering the consequences. They had returned quietly and carefully, and the galaxy was beginning to notice. Reports reached distant systems, spreading fear and curiosity. Velra prepared for the first official contacts, gathering records and advising leaders. Every species reacted differently, but the humans' measured approach prevented immediate conflict. Ryan knew that the coming days would test their patience, their wisdom, and their ability to guide the galaxy without causing chaos. Humanity had returned, and the stars watched with both fear and hope. The human fleet hovered at the edge of the central systems, where the light of countless stars reflected off massive ships of alien empires. Captain Ryan Cole studied the formations of Drex, Varn, and other fleets, calculating every possibility. Mia Carter worked alongside Arya, running simulations and improving shields and communications. Samuel Brooks checked crew readiness, ensuring that everyone understood the importance of caution. Humanity had returned, and their presence alone was enough to stir fear. Messages had been sent to the Galactic Council, but no official response had yet arrived. The humans had to choose their next move carefully, knowing that any step could spark conflict or create a chance for dialogue. Velra, the Kithan historian, observed reports from a safe distance. She had believed myths all her life, but now humans were visible, real, and deliberate. The council debated urgently. Some called for preemptive action, convinced that humans would conquer or destroy. Others urged caution, sensing the wisdom and patience that humans had shown in their movement. Velra tried to influence the council, explaining that humans were not returning to fight but to observe and understand. She knew few would listen fully, but her words carried a truth that could not be ignored. Ryan called a meeting with his crew. He explained that direct contact would be necessary soon, but they must show calm and strength without aggression. The humans prepared messages, rehearsed communications, and made plans for every possible scenario. Mia worked on enhancing the fleet's stealth and defensive systems. Samuel trained teams for emergencies, ensuring that the humans could survive any encounter. Every member of the crew understood that the galaxy was watching, that fear was spreading, and that they represented more than just themselves. They were the symbol of humanity's return. Alien fleets moved cautiously as humans approached the council sectors. Small patrols scanned the human fleet, reporting back. Ryan chose to remain patient, allowing the aliens to observe them first. It was a test of patience and willpower. The humans did not fire weapons or make aggressive maneuvers. Their ships were calm, dark, and precise. The silence itself became a statement. The galaxy noticed. Fear began to grow. Whispered rumors spreading across every system. Some alien species began to form defensive formations, unsure of what humans would do. Others hesitated, fascinated by the return of a race they thought had never existed. Finally, a delegation from the Drex Alliance approached. Admiral Corrin, their leader, spoke through the translator. He demanded explanations, his tone a mixture of suspicion and caution. Ryan responded calmly, saying that humans came to observe and understand, not to conquer. The message was simple and clear. Corrin did not lower his weapons, but he did not attack. The humans maintained their posture, letting their presence alone convey strength and restraint. The first true contact had been made, and the outcome would shape the reactions of every empire. The human fleet moved closer to the council chamber, careful to avoid provocative actions. Velra recorded the movements with growing excitement. She had spent decades studying human history, and now she saw the living proof of courage, patience, and wisdom. She advised council members to maintain calm, but fear was difficult to control. Every alien species had their own memories and myths about humans, and centuries of absence had only made the legends larger. Now reality exceeded imagination. Ryan held discussions with Mia, Samuel, and Arya about strategy. They decided to focus on observation, communication, and evidence of their peaceful intentions. Messages were sent to small colonies and neutral systems, explaining humanity's return and clarifying that they were not a threat. Some systems welcomed the information, while others remained wary. Ryan understood that fear could not be erased immediately, but patience and consistent actions could begin to build trust. The humans had learned this in the past, and now they applied it carefully. Alien fleets adjusted their formations as humans advanced. Some species attempted to communicate, seeking understanding. Others prepared weapons, unsure if humanity would remain peaceful. The tension was palpable across the sector. Arya monitored all channels, providing Ryan with a complete analysis of possible outcomes. The humans had technology far beyond most species, But Ryan knew that respect and wisdom mattered as much as power. Every action needed to balance truth, caution, and clarity. During this approach, humans discovered remnants of old alliances and abandoned colonies. They saw how civilizations had grown without human guidance and how conflicts had arisen in their absence. Mia repaired ancient communication arrays, bringing them back online. Samuel examined medical records and supplies, helping local populations regain lost knowledge. Ryan observed everything, understanding the changes and challenges that had occurred over centuries. Humanity had left the galaxy once, refusing to fight endless wars. Now their return would remind all species of what humans could achieve when guided by wisdom. Finally, humans approached the outer edges of the Council's location. Reports of their presence had spread widely. Alien leaders debated strategy, torn between fear and curiosity. Some argued for direct confrontation, while others urged patience. Velra continued to advise calm, emphasizing that humans were deliberate and measured. She believed that their motives were not conquest but observation and guidance. The Council realized that every decision now carried great consequences. One wrong move could ignite the galaxy into war. Ryan called his crew to the observation deck. Stars shone like distant fires, fleets moved with careful precision, and the weight of centuries pressed on them. The humans had returned, not as myth but as real, deliberate beings. Their presence alone shifted the balance of power. Ryan spoke quietly, reminding everyone that patience, observation, and careful communication would determine the future. Every crew member understood the importance of restraint, of maintaining calm in the face of uncertainty. Humanity's return was a reminder that wisdom could be as powerful as weapons. Alien scouts reported back on human movements, and whispers of their presence filled the council chambers. Fear spread quickly, curiosity mingling with worry. Velra watched as alien leaders prepared responses, some for diplomacy, others for confrontation. The humans had arrived at a pivotal moment in galactic history. Ryan and his crew continued to move cautiously, observing patterns, learning cultures, and demonstrating restraint. The galaxy was aware that humans were real, powerful, and deliberate. Every system watched as the fleet advanced steadily, ready to engage but unwilling to provoke. Humanity had returned, and the stars themselves seemed to pause, watching and waiting to see what they would do next. The human fleet had moved closer to the center of the galaxy, and the effects were immediate. Alien empires grew nervous. Fleets repositioned, and messages full of urgency filled every channel. Captain Ryan Cole knew that fear was spreading, but he also knew that patience and calm could prevent disaster. He called meetings with Mia Carter, Samuel Brooks, and Arya to plan their next steps. Every system they approached had its own politics, histories, and fears. The humans had to be careful, observing carefully, speaking clearly, and avoiding any action that could provoke war. Velra watched reports from the council chambers. Alien leaders argued heatedly over what to do. Some wanted to attack immediately, believing humans would be hostile. Others wanted dialogue, sensing intelligence and wisdom in their movements. Velra tried to convince the council that humans were not a threat, but her words competed with centuries of fear and myth. The return of humans created tension the galaxy had not felt in generations. Many species prepared defenses, while some sent envoys to observe, hoping to understand before acting. The humans approached a neutral sector where several minor races lived. They wanted to test their diplomacy carefully. Ryan decided to send messages of peace, explaining that humans had returned to observe, not to conquer. Alien species responded with skepticism and caution, but no immediate hostility occurred. Mia worked to repair old infrastructure, allowing communication networks to resume. Samuel helped local doctors, sharing knowledge that had been lost over centuries. Every small action by the humans demonstrated restraint and wisdom, but it also reminded others of their power. Reports of the human fleet's presence reached larger empires. Admiral Karan of the Drex Alliance prepared ships for possible conflict, while the Varn Dominion strengthened patrols near trade routes. Fear became widespread. As the myth of humans transformed into reality, some species believed humans had come for revenge, others thought they sought alliances. The humans understood that perception was as important as action. Ryan ordered careful monitoring of all fleets, analyzing movements and preparing for every eventuality. The humans could not afford mistakes. Their presence alone was changing the balance of power. During their observation, The humans discovered a sudden attack on a small colony. Sensors detected energy signatures from unknown ships. The colony sent distress signals, blaming humans for the attack. Ryan and Mia immediately analyzed the data and realized the fleet was using ancient human technology. It was someone trying to create fear, blaming humans to start conflict. Samuel treated survivors and recorded witness accounts. The humans knew that misunderstanding could spark war. They quickly sent messages clarifying the truth, proving their innocence while offering assistance. The galaxy's fear deepened, but so did understanding. Velra advised council members, explaining that the humans' actions were deliberate and careful. She pointed out the attackers were a hidden faction using human technology for deception. Some leaders listened, others ignored her advice. Ryan and his crew realized that the situation was delicate. They had to demonstrate strength without aggression, wisdom without arrogance, and patience without hesitation. Every interaction became a test of perception and diplomacy. The humans were aware that fear could turn into hostility at any moment, but they maintained their calm. The humans worked to prevent escalation. They moved their fleet to positions that protected the colony and nearby systems. They repaired defenses, assisted survivors, and broadcast evidence of the attacker's identity. Alien species began to recognize that humans were not a threat, though suspicion remained. Ryan communicated directly with other fleet commanders, explaining human motives and offering guidance. Some listened and adjusted their stance, while others remained tense. The humans understood that their presence alone forced every empire to reconsider strategy, alliances, and intentions. While moving through these systems, humans encountered more communities that retained legends of their existence. Children drew ships in the sky. Elders spoke of courage and wisdom. Ryan, Mia, and Samuel shared knowledge with care, teaching skills and repairing technology where needed. Every action reminded the galaxy that humans had been here before, and even in absence, their influence persisted. Velra documented these interactions, noting that humans were not merely powerful, but deliberate, patient, and wise. This combination of strength and restraint was unprecedented for many species. Alien fleets continued to mobilize, balancing fear with curiosity. Messages were sent to distant systems warning of humans, creating alliances of caution. Ryan and his crew remained observant, analyzing every response. Arya provided detailed predictions, calculating potential conflicts and identifying opportunities for peaceful dialogue. The humans understood that their return had shifted the galaxy's equilibrium. They had not fired a weapon in anger, yet the fear of their power reshaped alliances, strategies, and expectations. Ryan realized that humans were more than a myth now. They were a force whose influence alone could guide the galaxy. The humans approached a sector near the council, where fleets from multiple empires gathered. Tensions rose as reports of human positions and movements spread. Velra continued to advise calm, highlighting the humans' deliberate approach. Some factions listened, while others prepared for worst-case scenarios. The humans observed and recorded every detail, learning how centuries of absence had changed politics, alliances, and fears. Every calculation mattered. One misstep could ignite a war, but every act of patience and clarity could avert it. Ryan gathered the crew to discuss their final approach to the council area. He emphasized patience, careful communication, and evidence-based actions. Mia enhanced fleet sensors and defenses. Samuel prepared medical teams for potential emergencies, and Arya monitored alien communications constantly. The humans were ready, not for war but for observation and diplomacy. Their presence alone had caused ripples across the galaxy, and they understood the responsibility that came with it. Alien species continued to debate their responses. Some wanted to strike immediately, believing that humans would seize power. Others hesitated, seeing intelligence, patience, and wisdom in the humans' measured actions. Velra recorded everything, understanding that these events would be remembered for centuries. The humans' careful handling of the situation allowed time for analysis and understanding. Even those who feared them could not deny the humans' restraint and strategy. Every moment brought clarity to what humans represented: patience, strength, and intelligence combined. The humans' journey through the central systems demonstrated their careful approach. They aided those in need, clarified misunderstandings, and maintained non-aggressive postures. Fear, curiosity, and respect spread across the galaxy. Ryan knew that the final stage of their return would be contact with the Council itself. Preparation, Observation and patience would determine whether the meeting resulted in understanding or conflict. The humans were aware of the weight of their actions, and they approached each step with care, knowing that the galaxy was watching and learning from every move. Their presence was a reminder that humans had returned, not for conquest, but to guide, observe, and remind the galaxy of the strength of wisdom and restraint. The human fleet reached the outer edges of the Central Council systems, where fleets from dozens of alien empires had gathered. Captain Ryan Cole studied the positions carefully, knowing that every movement of his ships was observed and analyzed. Mia Carter and Samuel Brooks ensured that all systems were functioning at peak efficiency, while Arya monitored communications, predicting reactions, and analyzing signals. The humans had returned, and their presence alone had already shifted the balance of power. Ryan knew that this final stage of their return would test patience, wisdom, and restraint like never before. Alien fleets held positions of cautious vigilance. Rumors of human power, once thought myth, now spread across every system. Admiral Karan of the Drex Alliance debated strategy with other leaders. Some urged immediate confrontation, believing humans would act aggressively. Others saw restraint and intelligence in the humans' movements and suggested diplomacy. Velra, the Kithan historian, watched every report with hope. She had long believed humans were real, and now she saw proof. She continued to advise council members that careful engagement was the wisest path. The galaxy waited, unsure whether the humans had returned for war or guidance. Ryan convened his crew in the command deck. He reminded them that the first official contact with the council required patience, calm, and clarity. Every gesture, every message would be interpreted by hundreds of civilizations. Mia and Arya coordinated to ensure communication channels were secure, while Samuel prepared for emergencies. Ryan emphasized that they had come not for conquest, but to remind the galaxy of wisdom, unity, and the consequences of endless conflict. The humans were ready, their strategy rooted in observation and careful diplomacy. As they approached the council sectors, alien fleets moved in response. Some species attempted communication, sending questions and cautious greetings. Others prepared for possible conflict, reinforcing defenses. Ryan decided to respond openly, sending a clear message to all systems. Humanity had returned not for war, but to observe, clarify misunderstandings, and offer guidance. The response varied across species. Some relaxed slightly, reassured by the calm tone. Others remained suspicious, unsure of the humans' true intentions. Arya provided detailed analysis, predicting reactions and suggesting next steps to maintain peace. The humans then detected the remnants of the hidden faction responsible for earlier attacks on minor colonies. The faction had used old human technology to provoke fear and conflict. Ryan decided to neutralize their influence without initiating combat. The fleet disabled their ship's control systems and revealed evidence of their deception to surrounding empires. This action demonstrated the humans' strength and wisdom. Alien fleets watched closely, some lowering weapons slightly, others still wary. The message was clear. Humans were capable, deliberate, and just, but their patience and restraint were equally formidable. Velra recorded every movement, every response, understanding that these events would be remembered for generations. She noted how humans combined intelligence, strength, and caution in a way unprecedented for many species. The council remained tense, but the humans' measured actions gradually built trust. Ryan, Mia, Samuel, and Arya continued to communicate with leaders, sharing knowledge and clarifying intentions. Small acts of assistance, technical guidance, and truthful disclosure of the hidden faction's identity reinforced humanity's credibility. The galaxy began to understand that humans were not myth, not conquerors, but deliberate observers and guides. Finally, Ryan made the decision to approach the council chamber itself. The human fleet moved slowly, maintaining a clear but non-threatening formation. Messages had already reached every species explaining their intentions. Velra advised the council to remain calm, highlighting the humans' consistent restraint. Some factions continued to prepare defenses, but the majority recognized the opportunity for dialogue. The humans' reputation for wisdom, courage, and patience preceded them, and their careful movements demonstrated that they had not returned for revenge. When the humans arrived at the council chamber, they broadcast a simple message to all. Humanity has returned to observe, clarify misunderstandings, and offer guidance. We do not come to rule, conquer, or fight. We are here to remind the galaxy of the value of unity, wisdom, and restraint. The message traveled across fleets and stations, reaching distant empires. Some species were relieved, others still cautious. Velra documented the reactions, noting that even fear itself was being transformed into respect through careful, deliberate action. Inside the chamber, humans appeared for the first time in centuries. Ryan, Mia, and Samuel stood calmly as alien leaders observed them. Whispers filled the room, some questioning reality, others acknowledging what they had feared to be true. The humans did not demand attention. They waited, showing strength without aggression. The council debated, but Velra emphasized that the humans' presence alone had already shifted the balance. The galaxy had been reminded that humans were capable of shaping events, not through domination but through wisdom and deliberate action. Despite fear, many alien fleets lowered their weapons, recognizing that aggression was unnecessary. The hidden factions' influence had been exposed, and evidence was clear. Ryan spoke to the council, explaining humanity's history, their reasons for leaving centuries ago, and their current purpose. He offered guidance to avoid repeated mistakes of war and conflict. The humans demonstrated that they remembered the lessons of history, and that their return was an opportunity, not a threat. The room remained tense, but understanding slowly spread. Dialogue began to replace fear. After days of discussion, humans made a final decision. They would not remain permanently, knowing that their presence alone was enough to alter power dynamics. Ryan sent a final message to all systems. We came to remind you of the value of wisdom and restraint. When you remember what peace means, we will return. The human fleet prepared to leave, moving quietly and deliberately into the dark regions of space. Their departure left alien species both relieved and contemplative, aware that humanity was a force that could shape the galaxy without firing a single shot. Velra documented the events meticulously. She wrote of humans' careful observation, restraint, and wisdom. She knew that the galaxy would remember this return for centuries. Even those who feared humans could not deny their influence. The human fleet vanished into the darkness, leaving behind records, lessons, and the awareness that humans had returned and were capable of guiding the galaxy without war. Ryan, Mia, Samuel, and Arya continued their journey through space, knowing that their presence had reminded the stars of humanity's true nature. The galaxy, now aware of humans' existence and influence, remained quiet for years, each world watching the stars, waiting for the day humanity might return. The humans had proven that strength without aggression, wisdom without arrogance, and patience without weakness could shape the course of civilizations. They had come, observed, clarified, guided, and left, leaving a galaxy changed forever. Humanity was no longer myth. It was real, deliberate, and unforgettable.